Hello, I want to talk to you about the iconic figure whose story of struggle and resilience and forgiveness has inspired the world. He's by the name Nelson Mandela, usually called Madiba. He was born in 1918 in the small village of Imvezo in South Africa. Growing up in a country deeply divided by apartheid, he witnessed the injustices and brutality of racial discrimination. This exposure, very early exposure to inequality, was what fueled his determination to fight for a just and equal society. So, what did he do? He joined the African National Congress in 1940, in the 1940s, and um, long time, he quickly became a prominent leader in the fight against apartheid. His activism led to his arrest, like we all know, and imprisonment multiple times. Specifically in 1962, he was sentenced to a life in prison for his role in planning to overthrow the apartheid government. And guess what? He spent 27 years in prison. Just imagine spending 27 years of your life in prison. If you had a baby, the baby will be 27 years old before they can get to see you every day as a father to a child. So and much of this 27 years was on Robben Island, where he endured harsh condition and forced labor. But despite all these grueling circumstances, he remains steadfast in his commitment to justice and inequality and equality, I beg your pardon. And during his imprisonment, he became a symbol of resistance and hope for millions of people around the world because his fight for justice resonated with a lot of people around the world. And the agitation in the country continued despite his imprisonment. And in 1990, amid mounting domestic and international pressure, the South African government released Mandela. He immediately set to work negotiating an end to apartheid. Emphasizing reconciliation and unity over revenge. This was a man who should actually go for his enemies, but you see, his efforts culminated in Africa's first multiracial election in 1994, in which he was elected the country's first black president. So, like Joseph, he moved also from prison and then from prison to president. His presidency was marked by effort to heal a divided nation. To showcase that effort, he established the Truth and Reconciliation Commission to address the atrocities of apartheid and promote national healing. His leadership extended beyond politics. He championed human rights, education, and global peace, just to mention a few. He was the testament of the power of forgiveness, and the strength of the human spirit, and the belief that one person can indeed change the world. And so there are a lot of things we get to learn from Nelson Mandela's story. The fact that you can embrace forgiveness as a tool for healing and for unity. Forgiveness transforms communities, transforms societies, and individuals alike. If a man could lose his youth in prison and then return from prison and power was handed over to him, and rather than rather than vengeance, he decided for reconciliation. There's no better person to learn from than such a man, and that's why Nelson Mandela remains an enigma, remains an entity that is respected all over the world. He had a steadfast commitment to justice. He remained committed to his principles, even in the face of extreme adversity. Because, true change often requires unwavering dedication. You have to be dedicated in prison and out of prison, in season and out of season. When you feel like, even when people don't celebrate your effort to make them better, you have to remain committed to what you have decided to do. And for him, it was justice. And so there was also the idea and the lesson of leadership through reconciliation. He led with compassion, and his focus was on reconciliation, healing the divides. And you see, healing divides can create a stronger and more united community. Most of our countries, our communities are divided by some of the things that people had experienced, um, crises that goes back to history and still happens up to now. Some of it fueled by ethnicity, religion, politics, rivalry, and all forms of things. But we should learn from Nelson Mandela. He demonstrated that you could actually, forgive your enemies and then unite a community. That's why I'm going to leave you with these statements. One is the fact that forgiveness is a balm. Is a balm that heals the deepest wounds, fostering unity and paving the way for a brighter future. It's a balm. You now need to begin to look at how many persons or how many entities you have to forgive for how they must have treated you and for how they must have abused your rights one way or the other. While you try to seek justice, forgiveness is a virtue that we must maintain. True commitment to justice is measured by the strength to endure adversity while holding firm to one's principles. So he held firm to his principles, but he was committed, you know, to to justice. Yet he maintained his principles and endured adversity. This is the time when people will learn to endure the adversity that sometimes they are politicians, sometimes they are parents, sometimes they are systems, the corporations, the companies and the places where they work and put them through unjustly while holding firm to the principles and ensuring commitment to justice. And finally, reconciliation is a cornerstone of lasting peace because there is no peace without development. And the pathway to development comes with reconciliation. If Nelson Mandela had not set up the Truth and Reconciliation Commission to address atrocities of, the apartheid movement and to promote national healing, most of the development that South Africa saw in his regime would not be something we could talk about. But we see from that reconciliation is the cornerstone of lasting peace. And it is built upon the foundation of passion, of compassion, and mutual understanding. So you must begin to seek that mutuality and you must begin to deploy the compassion of the human spirit. So for Nelson Mandela, his story was not just a story of leadership, it was leadership through reconciliation, through forgiveness, through commitment to justice. He had the heart of humanity because in the end, we all are the same. What we share is common. We're all alike. We are the same. We trace back to one being. We trace back to one person. We trace back to being one entity. We're one. So it is all for one, one for all. You have million cells coming from one person, but it's still one person. So I charge you today to, uphold that sense of reconciliation as you begin to forge the path for justice, forge the path to progress, and forge the path towards development. Talk to you soon again. Thank you.